Kinda long story, but I used to do quite a bit of urban exploring a few years back, and I was kind of surprised to hear the other side of a story I've been telling for the longest time. It really changed the way I tell the story. Basically, I was worried as shit whenever I went into places, because I know almost every abandoned apartment building, factory, or asylum around here hasn't been worked on due to asbestos and other crap. The companies just find it cheaper to leave the lot, and nobody wants to pay the absurd cleanup costs. Anyway, when I went to these places, I have my great kit of safety gear on and everything. Full face respirator, hood, thick clothing, rubber gloves, etc. I'm not one of those lithe, nimble urban ninjas who parkour their way through these places and leave everything untouched. No, I just kind of trundle my way through because almost nobody is around. I've cut locks, unboarded windows, and even taken out a brick wall just to fully explore some places. I was a one-man expedition force. At the time, my mental health issues were pretty widely unchecked, so I was convinced that exploring dangerous places alone was actually the best thing to do. I did worry about running into insane hobos and such, but I felt I could talk my way out of anything if it came down to it. It's pretty hard to understand someone with a mask over their mouth, unless you've worked with them for some time. So I hooked up a little microphone and put a speaker on my pack of gear I carried around. That's the preamble. Story next. There's an old asylum out on the highway, towards what was a construction site for the longest time. Now the construction site is a business park and the asylum was finally trashed. But it was probably one of the most popular places for urban explorers years ago. When I went there, the first thing I noticed was the wall of signatures in the lobby, of all the people that went through and the dates they stayed. Graffiti was everywhere, anything of value was trashed or stolen, and almost every room spray painted with silly warnings of "keep the fuck out" was just boring ancient hobo dens. The basement was a maze of storage rooms with nothing of value left, but the place was big enough that it took me a few hours to get a good layout. Plenty of scribbled messages on the wall, some probably written by genuinely crazy homeless people, but most of them were probably written by the other 100 people who explored this place before. It was pretty boring and disappointing too. So I did what enough people had done before and started to carve spooky messages into the plaster walls. Real childish shit like, "Where am I?" or "I can't get out." But it was about the same quality of the rest of the graffiti. As I was packing up, just about to leave, I started to hear footsteps from one of the upper floors. Probably more would-be explorers about to be disappointed. So I figured I'd go up and meet them, and maybe swap stories. Best luck I ever had. I hear them coming down the staircase just as I was heading towards it. I called them a good hello, but I winced when the speaker I was using came out at a shout-like volume. They stopped coming down the stairs by the sound of it, and I could hear them whispering. No reply, but all I see is a head lean around the corner of the stairs, look at me, and scream. I was fucking scared at the time, and I didn't know what to say, so I shouted the first thing that came to mind. It didn't hit me until later, but the last thing you'd want to hear out of an old radio speaker carried by a faceless 6'8" pile of jackets and gear is, "I'm a human! I'm a human! Don't run away!" For the longest time I was telling the story like I met up with some ghost. But last summer I met a guy who didn't have any stories of his own, but shared one of a friend. His friend found a monster in that asylum basement that said it was human and chased them out. I told him my story after and we had a great laugh out of it. Weird as fuck. Used to live in a busy apartment complex in Sao Paulo. It's not like American apartments. It's literally 40 stories, with each floor having about 25 apartments. Mostly college-aged people or young adults with family. I go to work after school on Fridays, so I come home really late, around 1 AM every Friday. I live on the 11th floor, so I ring the elevator. The elevator eventually makes its way down and the doors open. I walk in. The elevator traffic is usually busy at night anyway, so I didn't mind the man who was in the elevator dressed to conceal himself. He had donned a ski mask and had black gloves. It's just him and I. As we are going up, I notice he has a knife in his hands that is dripping what looks like blood. There is a small puddle by his side. I ignore this out of fear and quickly exit the elevator once my floor was reached, and quickly go into my place and lock the door. The news reveals a murder occurred that day. I didn't directly go to the police, as investigations are inconvenient in Brazil, and I can't miss work days. A police officer comes and knocks on my door the following Tuesday and asks if I've seen anything to help the investigation. I tell him no, I didn't see anything. He thanks me for my time and takes off. A week later, they televised the suspect has been caught. It's the police officer. Hey X, got a story from a northern Russian shitville from mid-90s. Live in a town that was slowly dying out as the town's backbone factory fell apart along with the USSR. We used to have our little urchin street gang. Most of our parents didn't give a shit about their kids. Some of us didn't even have a place to sleep, so we had a squat in one of the abandoned houses and used it as our base as well. We didn't get to some real criminal stuff, just a little bit of stealing from markets/farms, beating up or getting beat up by other stray kids. We had that one kid who was the youngest, 7 or 8 years old. He just happened to live in the same apartment block as some of us. He lived next door to my flat. Name's Pasha. He wasn't really useful. He was weak, malnourished. But he was kind of funny, always optimistic. We took him for a mascot or something and protected him. And well, he was adopted by that old woman who happened to be my family's neighbour and was considered to be the #1 booze hag on the block. I mean, I unironically thought she was a mad witch. Always ragged, dirt on her face, mumbling some shit, no job, no relatives or family except for Pasha. She was abusing the kid, all of us knew it. He was usually bruised, but he didn't like to talk about that. Shit was fucked up with that family, but after all, it could be worse back then. We had a common wall between our flats. The kid was afraid of the dark. Mostly he was afraid of his mother, I think. So we had a little ritual. He knocks on the wall 3 times. I knock back. All good. One day, he just didn't come to our base. And he didn't appear in the next several days as well. But every night, at around 10 PM, he knocked on the wall, and I knocked back. I was kinda uncomfortable to go see him because of that fucking witch. And I guess my friends felt the same. We never really discussed it. They didn't have a stationary phone because of poverty. One day I got my shit together and rang at his door. No one opened, but I'm still pretty sure that someone was standing near the glass spy hole in the door, cause it got dark at some point, so someone was watching me from inside. And the second thing was that smell. Well, I only recalled it later on. Reminded me of the meat department at the local market. There was always something rotten there, but I didn't give much of a fuck about that, as the smell was really faint, and it was no surprise that food could be rotting in a drunkard's flat. A week later, that stench, but much stronger, can be smelled in my flat. Dad gets the reason and calls the cops. By the end of the day, we see an improvised ambulance with some canvas roll attached to its roof, and cop's car near the porch. Well, that was Pasha's corpse under the canvas. That bitch stabbed him in the face several times. I mean, that was the rumour on the block. I don't really know if that's true. I didn't see the corpse myself, and left him for dead. Presumably leaving the town, she was never found as far as I know. Knocking on my wall kept on all these days. I still don't really know if it was his crazy mother or it was him dying and trying to call for help. So, growing up in the Ozarks is awesome. We've got rivers, lakes, amazing sights, and cool stories. but some of these stories are kinda, well, weird. And I'd like to share them with everyone here. Also, disclaimer, I'm not here to say that any of these are true, but in this world, you never know. So here goes nothing. I'll be posting different stories every now and then, so stick around. Here we go. So the area I live in is really, really rural. It's actually smack dab in the middle of a park. It covers hundreds of square miles, mostly just woodlands, and being in the Ozark Mountains, everything is either on top of a hill or down in a valley. Well, way back, a dam was constructed to do, well, dam stuff, and after it was made, a large area was now underwater, becoming a lake, the name of which I won't be telling for privacy reasons. Now, all around this lake are areas we call bottoms. When the rain comes, the lake always floods, making these flat valley areas around the lake and the creeks that run into it marshy wetlands. It's kind of its own little world, separated from reality by the massive hills that surround it. We also have hollers. These are just kinda like valleys and depressions between large ridgelines. These usually have names. For example, there's Crow's Holler, Dill Holler, and Criswell Holler, to name a few. Well, in one particular holler, the bottom and the holler meets. We call this area Swamp Holler. This is where our story takes place. I'm not really sure when this story began, but I know it's old. Everyone knows it. We usually hear our grandparents tell it, or hunters who've been to the area. After all, Swamp Holler deer are said to be the biggest around. But that doesn't matter. What matters is what else is in Swamp Holler. She's called a few things. The Yellow Lady, the Swamp Holler Woman, the Yellow Ghost of the Holler, and even that Yellow Bitch to some. No matter what her name is, her description is always the same. Continuation. While the name changes, the description does not. A skinny, pale woman with pale skin and black hair. She's always seen in a yellow dress, hence the name. No one knows who she is, but many people speculate that she was once a widow who took her own life in the holler. Others think she may just be a ghost from one of the many graveyards in the area. But very rarely, you'll find someone who thinks she's a demon, roaming the swamp, looking for lost souls to drag back to hell. Among those who have seen her, almost none of them has stuck around long enough to investigate, or even get a very good look at her face. The people of the Ozarks are very superstitious, and don't want to go messing around with things they don't understand. Everyone that's told me about their encounter have claimed that they just simply got back into their vehicle and leave as fast as possible. Most people just avoid the area altogether, fearing she will do all manner of bad things to them. They all think this despite the fact that no one has gone missing in the area for as long as anyone has known about the Yellow Lady. Staunch believers in her say that she's not there to do harm herself, but to bring bad luck. It's said that after an encounter, the person who saw her can expect to have a terrible hunt, whether that be something small, like they don't see another animal, or just miss, or something bad like a hospital visit or even a fire. No matter what anyone thinks, everyone has silently agreed to avoid that area altogether in fear of seeing this mythic woman. At the end of the day, she could just be made up by old hunters who just want to have the area to themselves. Or maybe, just maybe, she is really out there, bringing bad luck to all who look upon her. Tell me what you think.